Bruce, you must have something really good too.
Of course I do. It's Bruce Danielson, and I guess I'm here to entertain you too.
Good evening, and welcome to Carnegie Town Hall. I call this meeting the Sioux Falls Planning Commission to order. I'd like to emphasize a couple of items out of courtesy for everyone. Please silence all electronic devices. And when you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record, and limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes to allow us to hear from everyone who would like to speak tonight. At this time, we will consider the consent agenda. Denise, please read the items on the consent.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item 1, approval of minutes. 1A is approval of July 1st, 2020 regular Planning Commission meeting minutes. Item 1B is approval of the June 30th, 2020 Planning Commission briefing. Item 2A, petition 12438, 2020, rezone from the AG Agriculture and RD2 Townhome Residential Suburban Districts to the RS Single Family Residential Suburban District located west of North 6 Mile Road and north of East 10th Street. Item 2B, petition 12480, 2020, rezone from the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar District to the I-1 Light Industrial District located south of West Floyd, north of West Madison Street, and west of North Terry Avenue. Item 2C, petition 12556, 2020, rezone from the RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density District to the RA1 Apartment Residential Low Density District for allowed forms located at 7525 South Grand Arbor Place. Item 2D, petition 12449, 2020, conditional use permit for on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment within 500 feet of a sensitive land use located at 1301 West 41st Street, Suite 100. Item 3, consent agenda approval.
Thank you, Denise. Are there any of these items currently on the consent agenda that anyone in the audience would like to specifically speak to? If there is, we would move that. Yes? Okay, thank you. If there are any of these items that someone in the audience would like to speak to or discuss, then we need to move that to the regular agenda. Otherwise, we will consider the consent agenda as presented. Seeing no one from the audience, does anybody on the commission want to remove something and put it to the regular agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the regular agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the regular agenda.
I make a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the regular agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 5A, petition 12431, 2020, rezone from the O Office District to the RA1 Apartment Residential Low Density District for allowed forms located at 4800 East 41st Street.
Jason Bieber representing Planning and Development Services. This is an application by Erica Mullally. It's located just east of South Sycamore Avenue and just north of East 41st Street, just east of an existing strip center, and then also there's a Casey to the west of that strip center. The applicant is proposing to construct a 12-unit townhome type building with roughly 12 garage stalls. As we know, East 41st Street is classified as a minor arterial street, which handles quite a bit of traffic. The setbacks are required to be 25-foot front yard setbacks and 10-foot rear and side yard setbacks. The proposed concept plan does seem to meet those requirements. Parking is calculated at 1.5 spaces for each 2-bedroom and 2 spaces for every 3 or more bedrooms. The concept plan provides 19 parking spaces, which exceeds the minimum requirement by the ordinance. The applicant did hold a neighborhood meeting on Thursday, July 30th. I believe there was quite a few neighbors in attendance. Some of the concerns were traffic, some drainage concerns, and also the closeness of the proposed townhome to those existing twin homes on the east side. Working with the applicant, they have provided some additional elements to their proposed site plan. Instead of the required 10-foot setback, they're pushing it as far west as they can, which would be an 18-foot setback. They're also providing a 6-foot high screen fence on that east property line. The required buffer yard would only require them either a 2-foot berm or a 4-foot fence, so they're exceeding that requirement. And then they're looking at putting some existing or some additional landscaping elements back there to hopefully not only screen their use from the existing twin homes, but vice versa. So that should help with some of those incompatibilities. The proposed zoning does meet the spirit and intent of the Sioux Falls Comprehensive Plan. The RA1 residential low density zoning is an appropriate land use transition from those existing twin homes to the east to the existing commercial uses to the west and then over to Sycamore Avenue. Because the subject application is consistent with the Sioux Falls Comprehensive Plan, staff does recommend approval of this rezoning. And then this is just kind of an elevation of what the apartment complex could look like. And then they do have some pictures that staff took, as you can see, looking to the east on the top left one is those existing twin homes. There is already some mature trees that are on the existing twin homes property. Like I said, then there will be a 6-foot fence that will be on the applicant's property. Then some more trees will be placed along there. So, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions from the commission?
Jason, can you talk to me a little bit about height? It looks like this is a 2-story complex, and it's my understanding with the office zoning before, they could already, without coming before us, build a 2-story office building. Is that correct?
Yep, great question. Yep, the current zoning of Old Office allows 2 stories and 35 feet. The proposed zoning of RA1 allows 2 stories and 35 feet. And also the commercial use to the west, maximum of 2 stories, 35 feet. And the twin homes to the east is the same, maximum of 2 stories, 35 feet. I believe those twin homes are single-story twin homes, but they could go to 2 stories and 35 feet, so.
Thank you.
Jason, it looks like the access is coming off of East 41st Street and then behind the Casey's, it looks like.
Yep, that's a shared access with that existing strip center that's there to the west. But yeah, no additional access going through the neighborhood. It'll just be that current one that's there and it's shared with that existing retail building, so.
Other questions from the commission?
Yes, Jason, the project then would be a 12-unit twin home with 12 garages, 18-foot setback on the east side with landscaping. That's
correct. 12-unit townhome, I think you said twin home. But yes, it technically would probably call it an apartment because they're not going to be sold off separately, but it looks kind of like a townhome type use. And each one, there's 12 garages, so each one has the option of getting a garage, and then there's also additional parking on site also. So.
Okay, thank you.
And Jason, so these two, the 6-foot fence and landscaping and the 18-foot setbacks to the building on the east side, do we need to put that as a condition?
You can put that as a condition on the rezoning. Typically in the past, specifically with rezonings, applicants have just shown us what they were going to do, and we haven't typically put conditions on rezonings. Conditional use permits, we do put quite a few conditions on it, but you guys have the ability to put those conditions on there, an 18-foot setback and the 6-foot fence and additional landscaping on the east side if you choose to do that.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Seeing none, thank you, Jason. Is the applicant here this evening? Come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Erica Mullally with Creston Capital.
Do you want to add anything to Jason's presentation?
No, I think Jason did a great job with the overview. You know, it's a great transition for the property. You know, with hearing from the neighbors last week, I think moving the building to the west somewhat will help quite a bit with those second-story decks. I know that was a concern with people looking over the fence into the backyard. There are existing trees there already. We'll add additional vegetation, which will also help with, you know, just privacy and things like that. And then parking was also brought up as a concern. We also own the adjacent retail center, so we'll have some cross-use parking as well. And each unit will have the ability to have a garage stall as well. So that's what I have to add.
Okay. Any questions to the commission?
And Erica, would you be okay with the 6-foot fence and 18-foot setbacks as a condition?
For sure. Yep. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to come forward and speak to this one? Come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jim Unag. I live in the Pampas Place HOA community behind the proposed townhomes. I am the president of the HOA. I represent 42 homeowners right now that will be affected by this project. Our HOA community unanimously opposed this rezoning of the 4800 East 41st Street from office to residential. We understand the need for apartments in Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is growing. Currently, within 2 miles of our community on this corner, there are over 1,000 apartments already in 10 complexes. All of them, every one of them with vacancies, every one of them. And more apartment complexes are already under construction or are planned. And that would include the horse farm at 57th and Bonson that I hear that is going to be a mega complex with apartments. And if this project does go through, it will impact the value of our twin homes that have been there for like 15 years. Our residents bought these townhomes with the understanding that the city was going to permit a office building there. And it's a 0.87 acre lot. So the office complex, we came to the meeting and we were 100% on board. And now you're considering changing your minds and changing this to residential, but we can't change our minds. We already own the homes. And this will impact the value of our homes by having apartments that close to twin homes, which I know they're not standalone homes, but they are homes. And, you know, we're not transient, if you want to use that word, for apartment dwellers, but, you know, we have been there for a long time. This proposed apartment complex does not meet a need in Sioux Falls. I mean, there's 1,057 apartments within 2 miles of us, you know, and it won't improve this community. That corner, 41st and Sycamore, is getting busier and busier. I mean, if you ever go over there at rush hour, I mean, traffic is backed up from 41st and Sycamore clear to Ballpark, trying to get through in the morning. It's just crazy. And so it will only make us more congested. But if this project was forced upon us, we would like to see the apartments rather than up against our neighbors on 41st Street with the garages against the fence against our neighborhood. You know, and if there's not enough room for 12 apartments, then how about 10? I mean, is this, if we have to have apartments, I mean, which we don't feel like this neighborhood needs more apartments. And if you look at that complex, is there really enough room for that much parking, for dumpsters and green space? And then where's the snow gonna go in the wintertime? We were told at the community meeting, well, if it becomes a problem, we'll haul it off. We all know how expensive that is. That's not going to happen. It's going to go up against the fences, and it's going to be a mess. Right now, with the current configuration of the apartments, there's going to be 4 3-bedroom apartments. If all 4 of those 3-bedroom apartments have 3 roommates, that's 12 cars, including boyfriends and girlfriends that come over. I mean, there's going to be a mess of cars in there. We are opposed to it. And I got 30 seconds and I could read you all of these 10 apartment complexes and how many there are. But there are 1,058 apartments already within 1.5 miles to 2 miles of that 41st and Sycamore. Thank you for your time.
Any questions from the commission?
I have a question for you, Jim. I anticipate we'll probably hear from the homeowners directly to the east of this project, but if it were to go through an apartment styles, or as a townhome here, I should say, is the association itself, if that were to occur, would the association be in support of a fence back there? I know some homeowners associations flat out restrict fences. I know it's going to be on the applicant's property if that were to occur, but would the association prefer to see a fence back there or not at all?
Would we prefer a fence?
Yeah.
Oh, you bet. Yes,
Okay.
even if it was a office space, we would prefer a fence. You know, there are other issues with that lot. They have sewage, but there is no storm drainage on that property to the north. And in the past, I think it was 2 years ago when we had I think it was 3 or 4 storms of the century, that lot flooded the basements. And I mean, it sounds like out of a Hallmark movie, but it flooded the basements of 2 80-year-old widows. I mean, just like a river down there. There is no storm drain. There is a storm drain over 300 feet from the east corner of that property to the storm drain behind the strip mall, but that strip mall parking lot is humped. So from the center of that strip mall, all that water runs east. So that's an issue for us. It's only 150, I think 103 feet from the existing storm drain behind the retail, or behind the strip mall, to a roughed-in storm drain on the empty lot to the west for whenever they finish building more strip mall or retail. But we have no drainage on this lot. So, I mean, that's not a zoning problem. That's a sewer and water problem, and I've talked to them about it, and we'll keep hammering on that. But any other questions?
Any other questions from the commission? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to come forward and speak to this item? Seeing none, entertain commission action. I think we'll close the public testimony.
I'll make a motion for approval with the 2 conditions of the 6-foot fence to be put in on the east side, and then have 18-foot setbacks to the building on the east side.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this item with those 2 conditions that Larry represented. Any discussion?
If we look across town, a lot of stuff goes from retail to a multifamily type setup into a townhome, twin home, and then residential. So to me, this does make a perfect transition into the neighborhood. It was great that the applicant was open to the 18-foot setbacks, just to kind of meet with the neighbors a little bit on that. And then also put a 6-foot fence back there. So But it does make appropriate transition into the neighborhood.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I could, I think I'd like to thank the neighbors and Jim as well. Thank you for speaking tonight. I think it's very important to be a part of the process and hear that. And I think the applicant has made some concessions throughout the process that are particularly important to me to see. I think having an 18-foot setback when you're only required a 10-foot setback is great. So I think the commissioner for adding that condition as well as the 6-foot height condition. I think both of those are really good and going to help out here. Typically, I would, from what we usually see, I'd probably usually see more people with frustrations of having an office complex behind them rather than townhomes. I know I don't live there, and I don't have an extensive history with the area, so I know everybody's different on that, and I understand your concerns, but that is typically what we would see would be people with more frustrations with an office building. But generally speaking, I think this looks like a good project and a good development that really does transition into this area, so I will be voting in favor of this.
Other discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item 6 is public input on non-agenda items, 5-minute comment period per individual.
Thank you, Denise. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to come forward and speak on a non-agenda item tonight? Seeing none, I think we'll close that public comment. Is there any new business? Seeing none, and entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourn.
We are adjourned. Make it a great night, Sioux Falls.